Thank you and welcome to the show today. The topic this morning is youth development. The organization is a vision of hope, and we have with us to talk about a vision of hope, the youth developmental organization, Mr. FDubose, Jr. And of course, Mr. DuBose, let me welcome you to the show this morning. And to tell you how delighted we are to have you here, Mr. DuBose, primarily because this topic that we're dealing with this morning, vision of hope, youth development, is a much needed topic in this community as well as communities all across this nation, because we are having many, many problems this morning with our youth. Let's start off, Mr. DuBose, excuse me, by having you to give us some information about your background, your education, and some of the things that were important in eventually leading you to us this morning. And then we'll talk about other things after this first segment.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I'm delighted to have the opportunity, Dr. Haney, to be on the show. And just to give you a recap of who I am and who FDubose is. FDubose, I was born in a little coastal town in Mississippi called Moss Point, Mississippi. Early on, I was educated there at Magnolia High School there in Moss Point. And from after graduation, I kind of was on a bind. I had a dilemma that occurred that whereas my inspiration was to be a professional baseball player. And when things didn't quite materialize, from that point, I knew I had to do some other things. So what I decided to do immediately after high school and not being successful in the baseball career, I went into the military. I stayed in the Air Force for 4 years. And once in the Air Force, it allowed me an opportunity to virtually grow up and gain some insight as far as some travel experience and some knowledge. And after completion of the Air Force, I went to Alabama State University in Montgomery, Alabama, where I received a degree in business management. And that allowed me an opportunity to market myself a little better. And so after graduating from Alabama State University, my very first job offer was in Nashville, Tennessee. It was kind of ironic. I had visited Nashville on several occasions. One of my brothers that finished at Tennessee State, and when in the military, I used to come up here and visit quite frequently. And I had no idea that one day that I was going to end up living in Nashville. So when I came to Nashville on my very first job right out of college, I was only planning on staying in Nashville maybe 2 years, and my destination of choice was Los Angeles. I was going to leave here and go to Los Angeles, but that didn't work out, so I've been here now 35 years.
Since that first visit to Nashville, okay, you couldn't leave, huh?
Couldn't leave.
One way or the other. Okay, now this idea of the vision of hope, let's speak to that. I mean, how did you conceive of such an idea, and where did this idea come from to be the director of such an organization?
Okay. As I, in my working, in my career, I was very fortunate to have a very key position. I was a human resource manager for Roadway Express, and I had various titles in that job for approximately 30 years. And once I retired, I wanted to be able to give something back to the community. And I knew out of all the insight and knowledge that I had gained through Roadway Express, I knew I had some value that I could share with our community. And I realized that there was a big deficit there. I felt that our kids need some directions, they needed some guidance, and I wanted to share some of those things with the community, and that led me to do something. And that's when I came up with Vision of Hope.
And your roadway career, I'm curious about that, because it seems that you sort of entered that organization at a time when there were very, very few people like you involved in that organization. Is that not? I mean, in terms of the upper ranks of that organization, Roadway.
Very true. As a matter of fact, not not really boasting myself.
Do that.
But
Yeah, that really, we're trying to get that. I'd like to have that.
Okay.
Because, see, we're getting ready for our first commercial break.
Okay.
Within a minute, and after that, we want you to, because I want you to talk about that. You know, being involved in that and how the problems that you might have had that you encountered in terms of your upward mobility in an organization. And I know that you've done some great things in reference to that organization, and I think that that also will play a very, very important part in your vision of hope and the idea that you ought to be able to create something that would help other folks. And so I know about you in a real sense, and I want to make sure that our audience also will know that. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Welcome to Mr. FDubose.